Greetings to you today and God's blessings. It's a wet day here in eastern Michigan. It's been raining for quite a while and it's going to continue to rain. And I thought I would make a video here and talk about a subject that's not all that comfortable with many people, and that is the matter of making excuses and making sure that we are being truthful in our inner hearts. I'm looking at Psalm 51 if you want to turn there with me in the middle of the Bible, and this was written by King David after he had sinned with another man's wife, Bathsheba, and he's feeling the stinging pains of guilt and remorse, and he's praying to God. And Psalm 51:1 starts this way. It says, "Have mercy on me, O God, according to your steadfast love, according to your abundant mercy, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin, for I know my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against you and you only have I sinned and done what is evil in your sight, so that you may be justified in your words and blameless in your judgment. Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, you delight in truth, in the inward being, and you teach me wisdom in the secret heart." Verse 6 again, "Behold, you delight in truth, in the inward being." God wants us, according to his word, to be truthful in our hearts and to face life, to face him and who he is, and to face ourselves and our behaviors and our words even, and to be honest with ourselves and honest with him and honest with other people. And I again wanted to speak about the matter of excuses. It seems to me that I spoke on this subject a ways back, so forgive me if I'm in any way being repetitive here, but I want to think about with you the things we tell ourselves which are not true. And that is, by the way, one definition of an excuse. An excuse is a lie that we tell ourselves and then pass on to others. An excuse is a lie that we tell ourselves and then pass on to others. Excuses are lies in dress clothes. They're dressed up very fancy, very presentably, but the truth is they're not the truth. They're distortions of the truth or some kind of deviation from it, and it's a falsehood. An excuse is an attempt, and I've jotted down some notes here. An excuse is an attempt to lessen the blame, to defend myself, or maybe someone even close to me, to justify one's actions, and to explain things in a way that appears to be genuine, but is not. An excuse, someone said, is a reason to fail. A reason to fail. Someone said, "He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else." And that's certainly true. Let's look again at verse 6 there. "Behold, you," that's speaking about God, "Lord, you delight in the truth, in the inward heart, in my inward being." You want me, says David. I know you want me to be honest and truthful and not live in a state of deception. But we do this all the time, and I'm speaking to people who claim to be Christians and people who make no claims to be Christians. We are constantly and usually unaware of the fact that we are continuously and constantly offering up explanations that aren't quite right, but they sound right, they sound plausible, and we become very good and polished at this if we allow ourselves to be this way. Let me just give you some common excuses that I hear all the time, and I'm sure you do too. And this is not to say that there is no measure of truth and many of the excuses at various times, but by and large, again, they still fall under the category of some kind of rationalization for wrong behavior. The most common one I think we hear nowadays is how busy it's been. Been so busy lately. I can't go a week without hearing someone say that. I don't know that I can go a few days without hearing someone tell me about how exceptionally busy they've been. Of course, this is typically one way of trying to subtly, perhaps again even unconsciously on the part of the speaker, to sound important, to sound very involved, because you can't be an important person if you're not busy, so we think. And so since our society continues to stress achievement and accomplishment and busyness to the point of exasperation, we feel absolutely free in telling other people about how busy we are. And we're, in a sense, wearing the badge of significance and telling people, I'm an important person. I'm not just laying around the house. I'm not just sitting there watching TV all day, whether I am or I'm not. I'm doing so many important things. Of course, everything that I do, I suppose, is supposed to be important. But I've been so busy lately, and we say the word crazy. It's just been so crazy. Crazy didn't used to be a good word. You know, it used to be a bad word. I didn't want to be known as crazy, but if things are crazy in my life now, that can be taken in a number of ways. And when we say it in this way that I'm talking about, it's just sounding like things are happening to me all the time, and it's so much of it's beyond my control. It's just been crazy. Of course, I'm implying I have no real part in that. I didn't create any of the chaos. I'm just one who's caught up in all this craziness. In fact, I'm being bombarded from every angle, and it's just been so crazy that I have not therefore been able to meet this particular obligation, whatever it is. I was going to call you the other day, but it's been so crazy. I was awake 16 hours of each of those days, but it's been so crazy I haven't had 2 minutes to call you. Crazy. It's been crazy. I wonder if we even hear ourselves when we say things like this. I've been so tired. Well, you know, I'm 67 years old and I do get tired. But I have a harder time hearing that from someone who's half my age, although they're going strong oftentimes. And yes, they do get, I'm not saying people don't get fatigued. Doing what? They might tell me, they may not tell me, they may tell you. But we get fatigued, yes. There are times when we are exhausted physically. There are times when we don't feel well, which feeds into that one. But again, busy, crazy, tired, fatigued, therefore this and that. This might cause us to, if we're wanting to get beyond that personally, might cause us to say, maybe I better take a good look at my schedule. Maybe I'm putting so much on my plate that it's falling off the plate, and I've really got no one to blame but myself because I haven't, whatever, the desire, the wherewithal to say no. This is part of growing up again, taking the reins, taking the responsibility, and taking a good hard look at why things are the way we are. If we're telling people we can't do this and we can't do that because we're so tired, we're so tired, we're so tired, we're so tired, if there's anything that I can rearrange and manage differently, then perhaps I should seriously consider that. Here's another one. Don't hear this quite as often. I just can't handle it. I just can't. I wanted to go. I just can't handle seeing her. I just can't handle it. There are times, again, where we do need to withdraw and retire from certain conversations and involvements. Agreed. But we can only play that card so much. We can only play the Joker so many times. I should be able to handle certain things. And if I can't, perhaps it's one way of God telling me, yes, you can't handle it. You need me to help you handle it. Perhaps you're trying to do so much yourself. We're all guilty of this at times. And not leaning on the strong arm of God, that we are where we are. And God is using the stress and the strain to get us, when we say, I just can't handle it, to turn it over to Him, to rely on Him. I always go to passages that I don't intend to go to when I'm doing these videos, but if you want to turn your page there, because one of my favorite verses of the Psalms is Psalm 55 and verse 22. You want to look there with me? 55:22. Turn over a page. Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. Cast it on Him. Roll it over on Him. I'm so tired. I can't handle one more thing. All right? Are you following 55:22? Are you, as a Christian, if you claim to be one, if you're a saint, cast your burden on the Lord? Are you doing that? Instead of continuously apologizing to other people for being unable to do this and do that when there are things that you really should be doing, and you know that, I would encourage you to cast it on the Lord. What does it say? And He will sustain you. He's never going to permit the righteous to be moved, to be toppled over, to be shaken, to be overwhelmed, as long as we are turning to Him. I just can't handle it. Oh, here's another one. Sometimes when people are asked to do certain responsibilities, I've seen this in church life. Well, I'm not very good at that. You know, we really need someone over in this department over here. Is there any way you could do this? I'm not really good at that. Right off the bat. Not really. Have you really considered it? Well, I'm just not really good at this. I'm not good at that. Which means I just don't feel comfortable stepping into that. I'm not willing to risk failure. I can't step into that. I'm not very good at that. It's not to say that someone, if, say, for example, someone is asked to sing at an event or at a service of some kind, and they really have no ability in the area of singing and music and tempo and all of it. They have no musical inclination or strength at all. When they say, I don't have the ability, I'm not very good at, they may be telling you the absolute truth, but they may not be. It just might be that you, again, are saying, I'm not good at this and that, because you're unwilling at this point, for whatever reasons, to step out and do what you know you should do. Let's go back to our key verse there in Psalm 51. What does it say? Behold, you delight in truth in the inward being. When are you and I going to be truthful and say, perhaps I'm not all that good, but God can make me what I need to be? If you want to do a little bit of a study, go to Exodus 3, and I won't turn there, where Moses is making one excuse after another, how he cannot be the deliverer of the people of Israel out of Egypt. There's just no way. I'm not very eloquent. I can't speak. They won't accept me. Excuse, excuse, excuse. When God said, I want you to do this, you are the one. Moses said, in effect, I can't be the one. Have my brother do it. And God, in His unending patience, allowed that to be, that Aaron, his brother, would be the speaker on many occasions. Yet Moses still would be the physical deliverer of the people of Israel out of Egypt. And God can make it happen if you give God a chance. That's a crude way of putting it. But you say, I'm not good at. If God calls you, He will make you good enough. If God says, go there, He will make a way. Quit selling Him short. Quit selling yourself short. Well, here's another common one, back on track here. I don't feel good. There again are days when we don't feel good. But you know, we are only allowed so many cards, sick cards in our hand. Excuse, well, he called in again today. Called in at work again today. She can't show up today. How many times can you play the I'm sick card? If you're that sick, perhaps you really do need some serious medical examination, and perhaps you have that. You've had medical exams, and you have gone through quite a bit physically. Don't want to be heartless in all of this. But again, we can exaggerate these things to such a degree that we're really making excuses, which really means I'm just tired, I don't feel like getting up and doing it. If we follow that excuse line, if we follow that train of thought, we'll never do anything of any world worth. I don't feel good. Well, put your big boy pants on, put your big girl pants on, and do what needs to be done. That's the difference between the person who continues on and the one who just flakes out. Wasn't it John Wayne that said, you saddle up anyway? You get on the horse and you ride. Even though you don't feel like it, even though everything is against you, even though no one appreciates you, you do what you need to do because you know that this is what needs to be done. It's not a matter of feeling good or feeling bad. Sometimes you feel terrible, but you press on anyway. You can shift it a bit and say, well, because of that person, because of what they said, because of him, because of his attitude, because of what he did the other day, I can't do this. That's just a shifting of blame. Again, another form of making an excuse. How many times can we blame other people for our decisions? How many times can we place the blame? Say, well, it's not my fault that I can't do this. It's their fault. We can only say that legitimately so many times. We can only create a rationalization so many times. We can only exaggerate a problem. I don't feel good. Now I probably have this diagnosis. We can only do that so many times. And what we're really doing is we are avoiding responsibility. In fact, we might be avoiding some problem within ourselves, involving another person or involving many people, all people, where we are just not willing to face the real issue deep down inside. So we're constantly making excuses. I won't go there because I can't today because of this, that, and the other thing. When the truth is, you hold animosity in your heart towards that person, or you're upset about what she said, or whatever. What does David say there? What does the Bible say? I delight truth. I delight in truth, in the deep down inner part of you. Will I face up to what's really going on and accept the responsibility that is ours and be blessed in that? Or will I throw the blanket over my head and continue on with my lame excuses? There's the choice. The one who makes the excuses isn't really good for much of anything, but the one who faces up to things, whatever that is, and that takes courage, that takes prayer, that takes tenacity, the one that will do that will find the blessing of God and the peace of God. You say, well, I don't think I'll ever be able to work it out with this person. You may not, but you work it out within your own being and between you and God. David was praying for mercy, and he found it. But if we don't face our own sins and our shortcomings, we will never find the peace that we long for in our hearts. Blessings to you. Again, may God lead you and guide you, and may His grace and mercy and peace be upon you once again. Take care.